Don't forget Joseph Scribshaw, Jennifer Landa, usually here with me, but we're doing these vertical lives. Just kind of, it's like a ForceCenter behind the scenes. That's what this is. It's late on a Friday for me, late 5 p.m. Pacific. Still the best time, and I am getting some work done and finishing up the ForceCenter work week. We released an episode this morning, Star Wars Ranked. Jennifer Landa and I went deep on our favorite Star Wars creatures. And I think I needed to do a follow-up. Shout out to those watching live, Gwen's in chat. Very happy to have them here as they're hanging out from our ForceCenter Discord to here. So I think one of the things I wanted to talk about today, we created a little bit of controversy in our small ForceCenter way by Jennifer and I deciding to divide up Star Wars creatures versus Star Wars monsters. And I was surprised. Some people were really upset. Some people were upset that our number 3 choice on the list, Salacious B. Crumb, was considered a creature. And I think I think it's understandable to look at Salacious B. Crumb as a character. He's Sally B. But like I said on the show, he's not flying a spaceship. Well, I didn't say this on the show. I'm adding this to what I said on the show. What I said on the show was my Chihuahua is definitely her own person. She thinks she's human, and her name is Frances, Franny, the little noodle nudes. She's got all her names. She's got her personality, and she will snap at you, much like Salacious B. Crumb. But she's not driving a car. She, to my knowledge, doesn't have is not a registered voter. I don't think Salacious B. Crumb is an active member of the Star Wars Society. So I think we were correct in saying Kowakian monkey lizards are creatures, though Sally B might be his own. That's fair. I think that's fair. But some people beyond that were, playfully, I want to make sure, playfully upset that we cut monsters out, that we divided the pie. And I'm here to dive into that. I'm here to take your questions. I'm here to take your questions on the entire issue and other Star Wars questions. I got some other Star Wars questions on a Friday night. I'll answer them here right now. But showing some ForceCenter behind the scenes math here, I just think, number one, we got 2 episodes. We are going to do a Star Wars ranked, our favorite Star Wars monsters. Jennifer and I are going to figure out that top 5 list. And Joseph's off busy making his movie. He might come back and say, I need to get in there. We might have to do a Creatures Part 2 and a Monsters Part 2. I think, number one, that's advantage. But it's not fair to pit a Lothcat versus a Rancor. It's the Rancor monster. It's not the Rancor creature. And I'm here to defend it. Michael McCarsell says, I do think it was a good idea. I think quote-unquote creatures are more akin to animals, where monsters are their own category. Yeah, and to be fair, on the StarWars.com databank, I'm going to look this up while I'm talking here. Star Wars. If you got some questions, if you got some thoughts on this, I want to know. StarWars.com databank. Oh, Life Day's coming up. Look at that. Life Day's coming up. We got Todd Roy checking in from Nova Scotia. I believe it if Franny can vote. Harrison Gibson said, yeah, the breakdown makes sense. Annie K's Tarot. I say auntie. Some people might say auntie. Auntie K's Tarot. My Chihuahua is a people pleaser. Makes me worry how she'd vote. Yeah, that's true. Anthony Blake says SpongeBob SquarePants. If that's a question of that, is that a creature or a monster? I go monster. What about side characters like just Squidface? Well, because Squidface isn't Squidface is, a character. It's a named character. It's a species. It has sentience. They're going to be out and about in the galaxy doing their own things. I don't think Salacious B. Crumb can get out there and just do their own thing. That's what I think. That's my thought. All right. Gwen saying, I haven't listened to the episode, but I kind of love that this has created a controversy. Yeah. And, a small controversy in the great in the great scheme of things. All right, there are 83 creatures listed in the StarWars.com databank. And I wouldn't expect them to break it up, by the way. I'm not saying StarWars.com databank, which does a wonderful job. I don't think they need to break it up into creatures and monsters. But you can't tell me that an Acklay is in the same category as Fathiers. I just don't think it's the same. I don't think so. I think it's close. Look, I put a Dewback in creature. I think Dewback is a Star Wars creature. But I also think um, oh, Michael McCarthy says, I admittedly feel that baby rancors are pretty cute thanks to the Bad Batch. That's actually a good point. That's actually a really good point. Do baby rancors count as creatures? And then we turn the rancors into monsters. Kind of the whole point of that Danny Trejo scene in the Book of Boba Fett, one of my favorite scenes in Star Wars, right? Did the rancor become a monster, or did we make the rancor a monster? Ah, that's a good question. But I feel like, look, I feel bad. Does a Dewback look like a monster? Yeah. I think that's why the Imperials are like, let's ride them. Let's have Dewback, patrol Dewbacks because they're fierce. But I gotta tell you, I look at a Dewback. I bet you could give him little scritches. I bet you give him little scritches, and they just get all. And I bet they go like ah. That's what I think a Dewback does. You can't do that to an Acklay. Not that an Acklay doesn't have feelings. Not that an Acklay doesn't get tired after killing people in the Petronaki arena on Geonosis. I think they have feelings. They get hungry. But that's not a cute creature. That's not a cute creature. JMB's here says Dewbacks for life. Will Dixon says plug for the databank brawl where the Porg on a blurg fights on a Voltex on a Varactyl. Oh, which one is that? Let me. What have we done? Have we replayed that episode? I'm trying to see. I can get into my archives here. That was one of my favorite. This is why I love doing databank brawl and bringing it back out. I hope my plugged-in mic is working. By the way, I have an iPhone 11, and the port where I plug things in, you can't always guarantee that it's working. So I hope even if it's just the phone, it's probably okay. I'm going to set this down here for a second. All right, when is that? Databank, here we go. Databank, bro, Porg. Let me just search for Porg. That might be better. Oh, okay. There it is. Oh, we haven't aired it yet. Episode 120 of Databank Brawl. And we'll get there. Osvetnik says you can pet the Dewbacks and Outlaws. Oh, man. Porg on a Blurg versus Voltex on a Varactyl. That might be peak ForceCenter, especially during that era, especially during the Databank Brawl era. I'm proud of that. Osvetnik says I can hear you okay. Yeah, good. I just want to. I have the Rode, the lav mic here, but I'm holding it like I'm working the red carpet. Harrison says my cat is definitely a creature. Having a cat in general, like living with an odd little alien creature, comes to vibrate in your lap. That's true. Todd Roy asks, by the way, and if you have general Star Wars questions, general ForceCenter BTS questions, please ask away. We're going to be doing more of these vertical lives where we just kind of hang out. And I do have the ability to invite like Jen on here from her home or Joseph. So we'll try to do that. But Todd Roy asked, how close is Joseph getting to completing his movie? I mean, close in the sense that production is about to start. He's been in pre-production. As far as I know, I think he rolls film, which is probably digital, but he rolls his first film shot on Monday or something like that. Yeah, so he's out for the next few weeks here on ForceCenter. Back to the StarWars.com databank. Where's that there? Like Dianoga. Like here's a close one. Dianoga comes off to me as a creature, but I think we view it as a monster. And then I know these from a certain point of view. Short story gave it definitely turned it into a character of sorts. And I both really liked that short story and really didn't like it. It was I had a lot of conflicting feelings about it. Unfortunately for all the rebel heroes, the rebel creature fled because it sensed the walls were about to be able to crush them in their path. Yeah. Reading the description here, I'd call it a monster. Okay, see here, The garbage masher was home to a tentacled carnivore known as a Dianoga. The slimy monster. Oh, here we go. The slimy monster poked an eye stalk above the surface of the garage to see what it invaded its abode and then attacked. Which I think it had a right to attack. I'm just gonna say that I think the Dianoga had a right to attack Luke Skywalker. Todd Royce says, "The thing gives me the creeps when I was little." Yeah. So there you go. So that's a close call. Ed Star Wars Databank says monster. Hapabor, that's a creature. Gundark, monster. I also, again, like I said on the show, it's how it's presented. I think it's how it's presented. I love the Wampa as a Star Wars creature. I collect. I'm looking at my shelf. I collect a lot of Wampas. I have Funko Wampas. I have Lego Wampas. I have. I mean, look at this. I have Wampa plushes. Um, but how it's presented is a monster. Now maybe yeah, some of Vermouth is a monster. It's a monster, Will Dixon. I think if the Wampa, maybe the Wampa needs some rehabilitation. Maybe Dave Filoni, is Grievous a monster? Yeah, he's a monster of the soul. If Dave Filoni, who I think has done a very good job rehabilitating some of the old tropes in Star Wars, I think his work in Episode 5 of The Mandalorian with the Tusken Raiders, and then what they put out there in Steph Green with that great episode in Book of Boba Fett, what they did with the Tuskens, I think we can do with the Wampas. I think we can do that with the Wampas. JNB says, would a mythosaur be a monster? Is a mythosaur real? Yeah, I think it's real, and I think it's a monster. Todd Rice says the Tauntaun is almost a character to me, but I know it's a creature. Yeah, creature, beast of burden. We could do that. And Joseph and I think Joseph and I have even. I know we definitely discussed our favorite beast of burdens. I can't remember if we did that as a databank brawl. I have the archives. I can check. Um, but I do think it's important how these are presented. And I think when I think of one character, one creature that is on the cusp of being a monster to me is the Eopie. Now, Eopies are definitely beasts of burden, number one. And two, I think they're cute creatures. But, but, how the Eopie is presented at the pod race with Jar Jar Binks, the classic scene. I think that makes that particular Eopie a vindictive monster, quite frankly. That was done very much on purpose, I think, is what it is. Go to the questions and comments here. Let me catch up. Yes, sound propeller Patrick. Sonic Dragon says, I agree. Rehabilitate the Wampas. The Wampas, it's a monster. It scared me as a kid. It scared me as a kid. But it's presented as a monster, but it's just doing its thing. It's out getting dinner. Luke and his Tauntaun were in the way of that. We can't fault that. It's just doing its thing. Gaz Nottingham's here. Hey, Gaz, is a Minoc a monstrous creature? Yeah, it's a monstrous creature. That's a good category. Maybe that's the third category. maybe maybe we got the Star Wars ranked out right now. I hope you're checking it out. Came out this morning. Listen to it. If you're watching on YouTube, please give us a like. Please give us a like on this one here. I like likes. We need likes. The algorithm likes. Maybe we do Star Wars ranked our favorite Star Wars creatures that we've done. Maybe we do part two. We do our favorite Star Wars monsters, and then maybe do our favorite Star Wars monstrous creatures. So if you have any thoughts on what is the dividing line on monstrous creatures, please let us know. Todd Roy says, "What is the name of the huge, always a bigger fish in Phantom Menace?" Well, there's a few. Joseph knows those off the top of his head more than I do. There's the Colo clawfish. There's the I'm in the data bank kind of cheating. Colo clawfish, which is also what Dryden Voss is eating, and then OPC killer. And what's the other one? Or no, that's not. OPC killer is Vetnik. All right, am I back? I'm back. Sando Aqua Monster. No, all right, am I back? I'm back. Sando Aqua Monster. No, what happened was my vet call. No, it wasn't the internet. It wasn't anything. My vet called, and I said no to the vet, and they left a message, and I've just discovered that the message will destroy your live stream on Vertical Live. I'll have to let my vet know. Osvetnik says a communication disruption can mean only one thing. That's right. That's right. Um, all right. See, there we go. And we. Oh, sorry. Some people checked out. Oh, we got to get the numbers back up. There we go. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm still here. I'm still here. We're having fun doing this. There we go. Lightspeed Bear here. Favorite Star Wars Bears. Snap Wexley, number one. There was a great comment I was just about to get to when my vet called. I think it was Auntie K. Yeah, presentation is everything. For example, Ewoks. Well, look, Ewoks are characters. They're a species. They got a society, a mostly functioning society. But, you know, if you go and play Battlefront 2, the Ewok hunt mode, those are monsters. They're monsters I like. And I think there's the kind of monsters we need. We need those kind of monsters to go up against Imperial Stormtroopers. So I'll side with that. I'll side with that. I read the favorite Star Wars bears. Snap Wexley at number one says Lightspeed Bear. I think that is accurate. I think you also could put you could put who else who else would be in the bear category? Ray Stevenson's character. I think that's cut. Maybe that's a bear. I don't know. You tell me. Um, Wart. See Wart. If we're having going back to my original question here, if we go to what is a monstrous creature, what are some of your candidates? Wart might be in there. Wart is Big Lou's here. Dexter Jetster seems like a bear. I think he would. I think Dexter would wink at you and be like, "Oh, I already know." A wart, I think, is a creature. See, the description of a wart is a small burrowing creature native to Tatooine, known to snatch small prey with its long, sticky tongue. The wart is a delicacy to the Tusken Raiders. Look at that, food chain in action there. But they're definitely monstrous to me. So that's a good maybe that's a good question. Harrison says, "What about porgs? Creatures, yes, but they seem to understand Chewie cooking them in a way that implies a level of awareness." Look, look. I I don't think that makes them non-creature, but they feel. If you prick me, do I not bleed? That's what a porg's saying. That's what my Chihuahua says too. She might even be in here begging for food. I don't know. JMB says porgs taste like chicken. I don't think they do. I think they taste like fluffy love. Porgs are self-aware, right? Porgs are self-aware. A lot of creatures. Like look at penguins. Penguins date long term, right? That's a societal structure at play there. The penguins. I think that's fair to look at that way, but I still think it's a creature. Osvetnik says, I said it before, but I'll repeat. If Jar Jar would scream upon seeing it, I think it's safe to call it a monster. Yeah, Todd Roy says penguins that mate for life. Yeah, I use the correct, the scientific term, mate. I like to think of it as penguins dating. That's what I like to look at it as. Yes, maybe not fully aware. Yeah. Oh, Harrison says. Then again, porgs also look down the barrel of that lightsaber. So maybe not fully aware. Yeah, we did in our Star Wars ranked best Star Wars comedy moments. Joseph and I both put that porg moment with the lightsaber high up on the list. Brian Tiller's here, the lead singer of the band The Moon Agers. Check out The Moon Agers on Spotify or wherever you get your music, or just go to Bandcamp and buy music directly from The Moon Agers. That wouldn't be bad as well. Bright Suns, y'all, Bright Suns. Big Lou at Big Lou's Clubhouse says, I mean, if we're talking Star Wars monsters, we have to talk about the Rancor. Yes. So, and since this is a behind the scenes episode and I'm supposed to give you a little insight into how we came to, produce that episode that we released today, I was looking for some Star Wars ranked topics. We have that today's episode was our 158th Star Wars ranked episode. And the concept of the show is far and wide. And I think sometimes the direct rankings, not getting too cute in the topics, works a little bit better in terms of pulling in new people. But we've also the first ever Star Wars ranked was a 5-minute video here on YouTube That was the top 5 Star Wars characters you'd like to have a drink with. So Star Wars rank can go anywhere. It can go anywhere. But I wanted to have a simple, direct. We had the favorite Ewok moments last week, and I was emailing Jen, and I said, what if we did, I'm trying to find, focus on Jen's interests in Star Wars. And Ewoks, number one, known, but Jen loves the, Mos Eisley Cantina. She loves creatures. She loves the creature design. She loves the creature shop people. She loves those kind of legends. She loves Phil Tippett. Like, so I was like, hey, Jen, what if we do Star Wars creatures? And then I was like, in my head, like I'm gonna rank them on the Rancor number one. And as Star Wars rank works right now, I kind of come up with a big list and dump them in there, and then we'll pick them on air live. It's a live pick. We don't know where we're going, but she did say, hey, just make sure you have the Kowakian monkey lizard on that list. And I was like, oh, she's gonna rank Sally B number one. And I just kept thinking about it. I'm like, but what about porgs? What about lothcats? What about tuca cats? What about Volptex? It's hard for me to put a Rancor up against that. A Rancor versus a Porg? That's not a fair fight for either. We're not talking about the same thing. So that's why we divided it up. But yeah, a Rancor is, I don't want to tip my hand, but I think the Rancor it's almost a Hall of Fame choice. Sometimes on Star Wars Ranked, we take Hall of Fame choices, we put them on a shelf, and we don't worry about talking about them. Let's talk about something else. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Gaz Nottingham says Jabba's palace creatures ranked. That'd be good. You guys have any ranked ideas? Drop them in here. We might be able to do that. I recently watched the Django versus Boba episode. Really enjoy it. I'm trying to catch up. Yeah, great stuff. JB says it's your Beatles. Yeah, that's what I always say. Like, we want to talk about music. We want to talk about my favorite bands. I'm absolutely, the Beatles are my number one. But there's so many other bands out there I want to talk about, and the Beatles are just so well known. Let's put them in the Hall of Fame. We might put the Rancor Monster in the Hall of Fame. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So, let me know. Zillow Beast, another case of how it's presented. Yeah, that's a great one, Patrick. And I would expect nothing less from someone with the username Sonic Dragon. You understand it? Yeah, the Zillow Beast. I think that's what the whole. It's. We know it's Godzilla, it's kaiju, it's all that stuff. But you learn a lot about that. You're rooting for the Zillow Beast. I think that's why people were so excited for the Zillow Beast to come back. We all needed not only that story to finish, we just wanted to see the Zillow Beast again, cloned or not. Svetnik says Star Wars blasters ranked. That'd be a good one. Have we done that? Krat Dragon. Yeah, Krat Dragon, I imagine, will be on the list as well. Oh yeah, you know what? I think we did. Yes. Well, it's a long time ago. Star Wars ranked episode 91. I think featured Andres Cabrera of First Cut. He and RB3 and Sabrina. We did best blasters in Star Wars, but that's a long time ago. So I think we could revisit that. I think there's a lot of choices, and that's the thing too with a lot of the Star Wars rank stuff. It's we started at 2017 maybe. So I think there's room to do a lot of repeats and go back and revisit things. And opinions change, and there's more choices and all those kind of things. So let's see. Let me look at some of the early Star Wars ranks. Here's our Star Wars ranked. Best Star Wars planets to live on is a good one. Top 5 Star Wars characters you want to have a drink with. I'm not going to go through all these. Top 5 reasons to rewatch Phantom Menace. That's right. We immediately went into our prequel series. We did that. The most memorable moments from original trilogy. I mean, we went big early. Early on was the most important second-tier characters in Star Wars movies. That has definitely expanded. One of my favorite early ranks was Episode 8, Best Background Jedi in the prequels. Episode 9 was minor Star Wars characters that changed the fate of the galaxy. That was big. The best Star Wars outfits? Oh, we could go that. Poncho Mike says, rank the best Star Wars ranked episodes. We could do that. Auntie Case Terra says, Exogorth monster or no, because they can support life ecosystems. Auntie K, that's a great question. Read your tarot cards and give me the answer, because The Exogorth, the space slug, if you will, is a monster. But I don't, and it's presented as such. I mean, it's literally, it's the whale. We're in the belly of the beast. But as we learn a lot later on, yeah, you could live in there. You could live in there nicely. Luke proved it in the Luke Skywalker myth book. Um, yeah, I have to think about that one. I'm not gonna. We'll work that through. I'll see where Jen thinks of that. Yeah, Gaz Nottingham, the six-limbed creature in Book of Boba Fett was cool. Somebody new. Yeah, we could do a lot of that kind of stuff. Um, Also, we did a lot of Star Wars ranked on action figures. That was a great run, and that was before we did full video. I don't know if we want to go through and do all the figures again, but we're not done talking action figures. What do we got? We also used to do a lot of Star Wars ranks that were predictions. So episode 27 was what we wanted Solo: A Star Wars Story. I have to go back and listen to that. I want to see how close we got. I don't think we got. It wasn't a prediction show, but I imagine it had some wild stuff in there. We had our favorite Star Wars moments as a kid, and episode 30 Star Wars ranked best Star Wars pro wrestlers, which was, if I remember correctly, it was Star Wars characters that I forget who was the guest on that show. It might have been like Mark Donica or something like that, who worked in wrestling with me. It might have been it's just what Star Wars characters we think you could pluck out of the films and put in a wrestling ring. Big Loose is the rhino thing. Mango. I read it as you put it. The rhino thing Mando got the egg from was a beast, but a monster nonetheless. Yeah, that would possibly count. See, Boga was an interesting one. The Varactyl, because Varactyls are definitely on that. They're monstrous creatures. But then we know Boga. Boga is named. It's so I'm not calling it a pet per se, but it's close there. The Tatooine Sand Beast is a good one. I don't know where to put the Steel Pecker, other than it did end up in a databank brawl, if I remember. The Mudhorn, yeah, Mudhorn. Mudhorn is great. I know a lot of people thought the Mudhorn was like a reek early on, so maybe it's in the reek family. It's funny, it's not listed in here. Oh, there it is. Nope, I stand corrected. Big Blue says right. Janini from Tahini says crack dragons are monsters. I accept that. I think crack dragons are definitely monsters. Here's the description of the Mudhorn. Are you ready for this? I'm going to be here for a couple more minutes. So if you have any questions, any thoughts, any final thoughts for this Friday night, this is what we do every now and then. Subscribe here on the channel so you don't miss the live vertical videos that we're doing here. Mudhorn. The beefy Mudhorn makes its home in the cool, dark caves of Avala 7. The beast uses its towering horn for defense, and its matted hide, caked in mud, and woolly withers can even dissipate the concentrated firepower of a blaster bolt at close range. I love the Mudhorn. And I've been on record to saying this before. If plot-wise, that second episode of Mando, Rick Famuyiwa directed that one. It's one of my favorite Star Wars stories. And I still, to this day, feel sorry for the Mudhorn. Feel sorry for the Mudhorn. Just doing its thing, taking a nap, protecting its egg, and those nasty little Jawas, just like nasty little hobbitses, those Jawas want to steal it for a Cadbury egg snack. And Mando's going to take the job. You got to put food on the table. All right? He puts his head down and takes the job. And then it becomes a life or death situation. It's a great moment, great reveal with Grogu. But at the end of the day, I feel sorry for the beefy Mudhorn, as Pancho Mike says. Yeah, Amaranth says semi-sentient beings are tricky. Which is why Salacious Bee Crumb is very tricky. There's some people who are kind of upset that it was a creature in our comments today on YouTube, and I don't take away their anger. I get it. I understand it. I actually understand it. I understand it. Will McLean says Pong Crow would be a great wrestler. The size and 2 extra arms can't teach that. Would be a top guy in a certain era. Yeah. Pong Crow would be a good heel, but he'd be a tweener. Then he'd turn complete heel and he'd rule the territories. He'd be great in the territory eras. He'd work like Mid-South. Oh, here comes Pong Krell. Um, Purgles, yeah. I think we talked about the Purgles. Purgles were kind of close call, honorable mentions. Definitely creatures. Their size like monsters, but creatures. But also, is it fair to just put them in the corner as a creature or a monster? They're their own thing, I guess. Star whales, space whales, Purgles. All right. I think that's about it. I'm going to go have some dinner. I love hanging out with all of you here. Gwen says Wrecker would jump in that ring. Oh, 100%. See, I have to do an updated one. You know what? Gwen, you just convinced me. You might not even be trying to convince me, but you just convinced me because I need to do an updated best Star Wars wrestlers. And Chrysanthemum probably on the list as well. But Chrysanthemum might have been on the list back then because Chrysanthemum was in the comics. I'll have to check. Will Dixon asks, "What's for dinner? Orange chicken." Close, close. I am going to a Japanese restaurant tonight, so I'll be there. Oh, Lauren Romo of the Galactic Podcast is here. Says, "I'm here. You can start now." I'm just signing off, Romo. All right, we can't be like you Detroit Lion fans that just walk around with the confidence of a team that's about to win the Super Bowl. All right, we can't do that. We're here. We're here, and we got to go. All right, I am winding down. Don't forget to check out the episode if you haven't already. Listen on podcasts, watch here on YouTube. Star Wars Ranked. Jennifer and I going through our favorite Star Wars creatures. We also have the question episode. A lot of fun. We asked, will ET show up in Star Wars? Like actual ET show up in Star Wars, not the species, the Isogians. We know that. Someone on Blue Sky was nice enough to point us out that they appeared in Phantom Menace. We're aware. We talk about that, but that check the news episode. And remember, Joseph is still out. He'll be out for a couple weeks. He'll come back in early December. So go ahead if you want to go to Joseph's website, josephscrimshaw.com, and you can still support his film. It's happening regardless, but if you want to help increase his budget, support it. I'm just going to ask. I'm going to ask in a more direct way than maybe he'd be comfortable in asking. He's got Go Picture, but as always, the budget to get more people on board before they hit that set is there. Go to josephscrimshaw.com, support him, and all that stuff. I will see you all on Blue Sky, having a lot of fun on Blue Sky. And as always, because we're live here vertically, we get to do the old uncomfortable boomer trying to turn off the camera. We get to do, or I just have my vet call again. All right. See you, everybody. Next time, we'll talk about monsters.